Welcome to haunted and historic Adams County, where the hills hold secrets as old as the earth itself. We explore the deep intersection of history, folklore, and the unexplained hauntings of the region. Our journey leads us to Dunkinsville Church, a quiet sanctuary with a restless spirit. This is the legend of the door that wouldn't stop bleeding, a mark that no paint could hide. The church sits quiet along a fading country road, watching the world pass by in silence. Its white clapboard siding has weathered to a soft, ghostly gray over the decades. The steeple catches the final dying light of the evening before the dark takes hold. The windows reflect dull, tired panes like eyes that have seen too much. Curious visitors pull onto the gravel shoulder at dusk, drawn by the whispers of the past. It stands modest and still, a monument to a community that once was. A heavy, listening quiet settles thick around the building as night falls. The crooked door settles in its frame as if bracing for what lies within. A hand reaches out, seeking to touch the legend hidden beneath the layers. Under the fingertips, the very texture of the paint feels wrong, altered by something beneath. You can see the ridges of 100 years of paint, each layer a failed attempt to forget. The air carries the heavy scent of old lumber and the chemical sting of layered lead paint. Dusk deepens into a hollow silence that seems to listen to your every breath. Framed by empty fields and ancient woods, the church is isolated in time. The silence here is heavy. It presses against your ears like a physical weight. This door is more than wood and hinge. It is the threshold of a terrifying story. It began in the 1800s when local farm families raised these walls with their own hands. They lifted the beams together, building a center for their faith and community. Every clapboard was nailed by hand, a labor of love for the generations to come. The steeple was added last, pointing toward the heavens they sought to reach. For decades, it was the heartbeat of rural life in Adams County. Sunday worship was the center of existence for the families of the Hollow. Families arrived by wagon and on foot, traveling miles to gather here. Inside, neighbors shared news and spirits, unaware of the mystery that would soon take root. The church hosted the joys of socials and the fire of revivals for many years. But during a turn-of-the-century renovation, a new door was installed, and everything changed. They applied fresh white paint, expecting a clean start for the new century. The first witness arrived early one Sunday morning and saw something impossible. A faint, reddish-brown discoloration had begun to seep through the pristine white paint. As they watched, the stain resolved into the unmistakable figure of a man. He had an outstretched arm, his hand open as if reaching for someone. The fingers were spread wide in a gesture that felt heavy with hidden meaning. Some saw a blessing, others saw a desperate plea, the rest saw a warning. The congregation studied the image, unable to explain how it had appeared overnight. They checked for leaks, for moisture, for any logical reason, but found none. They checked the wood for rot, but the timber was as solid as the day it was cut. Determined to erase it, they repainted the door with a thick, fresh coat of white. But within days, the image began to bleed back through, slow and inevitable. It developed like a photograph in a dark room, manifesting from the nothingness. The reddish-brown stain deepened until it looked like a fresh wound in the wood. The people were unsettled, but they refused to be defeated by a shadow. They painted it again and again. Each time, the result was the same. The figure returned as if mocking their attempts to cover the truth. They sanded the door down to the bare wood, desperate to remove the mark forever. Even in the raw grain of the lumber, the faint image of the man remained. The members stared in disbelief. The mark was not on the paint. It was in the wood. They applied one more coat, hoping the sanding had done the trick. It rose back through the new coat like a ghost returning to its haunt. They even tried replacing the individual boards where the figure appeared. The image simply shifted position, refusing to be cut out or discarded. Finally, the congregation realized the truth. The image could not be removed. The bleeding door became a part of the town's identity, a shared mystery. Children were shown the image, told the stories like they were family heirlooms. The elders debated its meaning, each generation finding a new interpretation. The figure meant different things to different people as the years rolled by. During the lean years of the Depression, they saw the hand as a plea for mercy. In seasons of hardship and war, the figure was viewed as a grim warning. In times of peace and plenty, they chose to see it as a silent blessing. Eventually, repainting the door just became routine maintenance, a battle they accepted. The image always returned with a patient, terrifying inevitability. Decades later, a major renovation saw the old door removed entirely. A new door was installed, pristine, fresh, and free of the past. The congregation felt a brief sense of relief. The haunting was over. Or so they thought. Within weeks, a faint, familiar shape began to form on the new wood. It was the same arm, the same hand, reaching out from the new threshold. The same reddish-brown cast rose through the modern paint and varnish. They realized then the phenomenon wasn't tied to the door, but to the place itself. The old door was relegated to a shed, forgotten by most, but not by the spirit. Even in the dark of the shed, the image remained, etched into the wood forever. Some stories say the old door was eventually burned to ash to break the curse. But it didn't matter. The image on the new door continued to manifest regardless. The threshold itself was the anchor, a gateway that refused to be closed. Then other things began to happen. Cold spots formed in the sanctuary. A sudden bone-deep chill would settle near the pulpit during the quietest moments. Choir members practicing alone would feel the temperature drop in an instant. These pockets of freezing air remained fixed in narrow patches, defying physics. The chill would move, shifting through the sanctuary from night to night. Then came the sounds, heavy, measured footsteps in the empty loft above. The deacon, locking up for the night, would hear someone walking where no one could be. The steps would always pause directly above the position of the bleeding door. The bookkeeper often heard those slow, deliberate steps while working late. She found herself finishing her work faster and faster, eager to leave the building. She would lock the door with a profound sense of relief, never looking back. Shadows began to move independently along the sanctuary walls. A dark shape was often seen sliding behind the pulpit, disappearing into the wood. The pianist once saw a shadow cross the wall while she practiced alone. But when she turned to look, there was nothing there but the empty air. The shadows always seemed to be moving in one direction, toward the door. Motorists driving by late at night reported a figure standing near the steps. It stood perfectly still, watchful, as if waiting for an invitation that never came. Witnesses said the figure matched the image on the door exactly. Neighbors caught glimpses of the shape near the entrance, a silent sentinel. But upon a second glance, the figure was always gone, vanished into the mist. Sometimes tall shapes were seen standing at the very edge of the woods, watching. As dusk settles over the tree line, the church remains and the door continues to bleed. Discover more chilling tales in Haunted and Historic Adams County by Mark H. Rowe. Visit markhrowe.com today.